Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy, and this is the Ask a Video Mail for the week of September 3rd, 2012. Welcome to the site to the new members, and welcome back to the old members. Happy Labor Day to anyone who's celebrating that here in America. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one. But I need your question if I'm going to answer it, so please send your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There is no such thing as a stupid question, and it's obviously the best way to get the most out of your subscription. So, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and send one in now. Are you working on a piece of animation and you just got stuck? Is Maya giving you problems? Send in your file. I'd love to take a look and take advantage of the site right now. Go ahead and do it. So let's see what's going on. Animalia is coming. It's steaming ahead. It's coming right at me. I'm nervous and I'm excited. I hope everyone else is. So I'm going to be flying to the Czech Republic in less than 2 weeks. Geez, I'm flying there on the 14th. The course starts on the 17th. So come here to KennyRoy.com. Look at the home page. I'm going to be doing some webcasts from Animalia, from the Czech Republic. And the course is on how to animate a short film. It is all of the creative and technical roadblocks that get in the way of animators creating a short film on their own. What is going to stop you from finishing? What is going to keep you from your goal? I'm going to talk about all those things and take them out of the way. So just check out here on KennyRoy.com. I'll be posting hopefully a little bit of a decent schedule that you can follow. If not, I'm just going to make sure that all the videos are recorded and you can go back through them here on KennyRoy.com and Animalia.eu. Animalia.eu. That's where the official site is at. So we'll be webcasting from there as well, I believe. But if you don't see it there, come to KennyRoy.com. It'll be fun. It'll be a blast. The week's question is a good mix of technical and performance. Let's check it out. Okay, awesome. So this animator, I hope this animator has seen the quick quad walk lecture. If you haven't seen the quick quad walk lecture, it's hard to say, quick quad walk. That lecture is on how to get to basically 0 to 60 on a quad walk cycle. So any quad, this goes through all the rules that are the same, and it starts basically with basic posing and your normal foot replacement walk with set stride length. Okay, that being one of the most important aspects of the quick quad walk. So hopefully this animator has seen it. Hopefully you have seen it. So check out the quick quad walk right now. But at any rate, this question normally comes down to an issue that is one of two things. A root control, normally on a biped, and actually it's the same on a biped and a quad because it's the same thing in terms of the hierarchy of the joints, except that a quad is like bent over and it has the hips and it has the shoulders for those front arms, or those, what do you want to call them, front legs or paws or whatever. But normally the root control is at the base of the spine, and that root control controls both the hips and the shoulders, right? Because you have that root, and when you rotate it, the whole body goes with it. And this animator likes to, move the root wherever he wants, and then pose using the spine, and that's how we all do it. Well, it's a little bit different with the quad, because you have to sort of think of your hips and your shoulders as two sets of hips that kind of move. And this animator's problem is that it doesn't feel like to him that the hips are kind of making those shoulders move forward, that the hips aren't really driving the action. I'll say this first. With a quad, especially with a horse, horses actually have very stiff spines. they're not like a cat where they're really slinking around. A horse is actually very stiff, but you can't ride on top of a cat. Their spine's not made for that. So therein might lie the issue. But the amount that the hips are like pushing those shoulders forward is really proportional to the stiffness of the spine. So on a horse, you're really not going to get that huge squash and stretch. You're going to get it more in pose, but really not like volume, and certainly not a feeling like it's like caterpillaring along. So that spine should be a little subdued compared to some other quad walks that you've done before. So that's not a big issue. But the main issue is that your root is determining kind of the position of both your hips and your shoulders. Most quad rigs have it like that. Have it where the root is still at the hips, okay, even though the character's bent over, and that means that you're doing that. Okay? So I think that this has some good workflow issues we can talk about. I'd like to show you the animation that this animator has done. But also, just to mention, there are plenty of rigs I've seen that have that root where you can move it around and decide on a place where its pivot is, and you can sort of get, for me, a little bit more predictable results and better results because of that, from a root control that's actually in between the shoulders and the hips. It's just that rotation point. Another thing that helps with is doing turns, because that rotate Y, right? So if you have that rotate Y in the back, say this is your horse. You have that rotate Y, actually use this one a little bit bigger. Here we go, Nerf gun. All right, so here's your horse. So if that rotate Y is in the back, then when you're doing a turn, it's swinging around like this, all right? And I kind of find that if you're trying to do a turn and then you have to pose this, you're doing a lot of translating and counter-posing to get the whole pose to work. Whereas if it's in the middle, you can kind of animate it going, around turn like this, and do just a little bit of counterposing with the hips and the shoulders. So I like the rotation to be in the middle between those two controls. But let's take a look at this animation, and then we'll get a closer look at what this animator is talking about. Okay. All right. So here we have the animator's walk cycle. And now what I've done already is I've selected the root and I've animated backwards against the motion of this master control against the motion of the root, okay, because I got the stride length from the root. It was very easy. Translate Z is 0.47, and then on the last frame, translate Z is 12.47, so that gives me a stride length of 12. So here on translate Z is 0, and then negative 12, and this should give me a perfect cycle. So let me just make it linear so that we don't get any weird slowing or easing in, and then I'm just going to hit play right here. Okay. So the problem is that this animator apparently has not use the quick quad walk method. I highly recommend it. For me, it is not only a good way, but it's the only way to do a quad walk because of needing to find stride length, needing to find those opposite poses, and then just time them out. I think it's really, really essential. So I would definitely recommend, because this cycle right now, if I just put everything on cycle and then put the world IK movers, basically the root and all four paws on cycle with offset, this would break in. Let's just do it really quickly. It shouldn't take me longer than 1 minute to do that. So I'm just going to go like 300 frames. And I'm going to select all the curves. Hopefully they're all animated within frame 1 to 33. No, they're not. But that's okay. Let's just try to do this. Cycle, post infinity, cycle. Everything is cycle except these guys and this. Oops, not that. This guy and these. Translate Z. Show selected. Grab these. Post infinity. Cycle with offset. View infinity. Show all. Grab this guy. Post infinity, cycle with offset. Okay, so now ostensibly we have the walk cycle, and see, look what's happened. Because that stride length was not set perfectly, those legs walk away from that character. And this is not even a very long shot. 300 frames. You know, let's say that you had, you know, this shot where a person is like leading their horse and they're just talking, whatever. Look, in 300 frames, which is basically 12 to 13 seconds, I think. I'm not that great at math. You can check that later. You have basically the legs completely walking away from the from the root. Okay, so quick quad walk, everybody. But at any rate, let's talk more about how this is kind of working here. What I see in frame 1 to 33 is pretty decent in terms of like what is moving what forward and back here. So I'm fairly happy with what I see. I would just point out that again that this root is rotating from the back here, and you know, if your character is taking a turn or something like that, that can really change things and kind of hurt your workflow a little bit. So what I recommend is this: is you have the cog moving. If you have it like this, moving very, very, very steadily, you take the motion off of the translate Z on your hips. Okay, good. They're not here. Let me just delete these. Okay, and then you basically do offset. So on each step, so it's 33 frames. So on each step, so it's 4 frames, so it's one step basically every 8 frames. So on each step, you have it go forward and back. So we'll have this forward and back just a little bit, just a breath, okay? And then we go to translate Z here. We'll make these the same value. All right. So like 0.4, like that. And then 12. And just keep on going through. I'm just going to kind of wing it a little bit. And you also need to make sure you choose a range that is not going to give your characters a there we go. Give your characters a range that their feet like can't sustain. So, for instance, if this makes it so that the feet are walking away or the arms are maxing out or whatever, then we won't want that. So basically, we have just a little bit of back and forth, and now it's obviously way too much. But then what you do is you scale it down just a little bit, okay, until it's kind of like felt more than it's seen. Okay, and now let me scale it back and make sure we're offsetting it right. I'm going to offset it just like 2 frames, and I'll also make my pre-infinity cycle, post-infinity cycle on these 2. Okay, and then just put a little bit of offset, maybe 2 frames. Actually, it's only 4 frames total, so maybe 2 frames would be too much. And now I'm really going to take it down until it's just felt. Okay, see, it's like, it looks like it's wiggling right now. I'm just going to take it way down until it's just like a breath. There we go. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have the resolution to be able to see that. But it's just causing, because look at what happens. All right, it's a little bit of squish in the spine, and you know, if this one gets away, it's a little bit of extension in the spine. It's just adding an imperceptible amount of fleshiness, a little bit of just a breath of play in here. All right, and just enough, I argue, to make it feel like the spine isn't like a steel bar going through. All right, so barring the changes with the stride length that will make this a standardized walk cycle, and maybe just a little bit more up and down, maybe in the shoulders here. Let's see if I can make that change myself. And then I'm going to scale it up just a little bit. Yeah, it feels a little bit better. It's a little plateaued too, that arc for me. It should be plateaued with such a stiff creature as a horse, but maybe a little looser for my taste. But now feeling just a little more fleshy, a little bit more, a little bit more, animalistic and a little bit more real throughout. But to answer the main question, you're doing the right thing, using that root that controls both the hips and the shoulders. There's no other way to do it. You absolutely, under no circumstances, should take the shoulders and the hips and then animate those and leave that root behind. No way, absolutely not. So you're doing the right thing. It's just that on this rig, and you can change it by just selecting the root. I'll show you here. By just selecting the root and holding down D and moving that pivot. See, it has stuff parent constrained to it. All right, so if you wanted to break those constraints, you could move the root, or what you could do is you could create a locator, and that locator you could parent constraint to this root, and you have to maintain offset. And then you have, here it is, your new controller that you're going to use to rotate your horse. But definitely that little bit of movement, especially in something like a cat, you get from animating the hips and the shoulders within that root. Okay, so good question. Definitely check out that quick quad walk. Man, crest quad walk. What's that? I need more questions if I'm going to answer them, so please send in your questions. It's easy, it's free to do. Just send it in, and I'd love to hear it. I'd love to see my files as well. This makes it really easy for me to get in there and see exactly the issue that you're talking about. Also, never would have been able to see that this animator doesn't have the quick quad walk or the stride length down without having seen this file. So think about how much goodness is going back towards this animator now that I've done this video mail. So that could be you. Send it in, please. The address to send it to is webmaster@kennyroy.com. Have a lot of fun. Good luck with your animation, and as always, rock.